Good day and welcome to my channel. I am Bee from Thermomix and I will be preparing part 2 of this recipe where I will be making the meat portion of shepherd's pie. And the recipe I love to utilize is off of Cookidoo and it's called chunky Bolognese. I love this because of the flavor so I cook this for my family. It's a lovely meat option and you can make it ahead of time, pop it in your fridge and have it there as a backup for meals, popping it on all sorts of things. But today specifically, I will be using it for the shepherd's pie recipe. So I have already done the mashed potato element of the recipe and we're going to start with the chunky Bolognese. I will also show you my little tweaks to the recipe. So let's get started. The first thing is to put in 1 brown onion. You will notice I have added these ingredients ahead of time. It says approximately 150 grams worth of your onion, 1 clove of garlic. I've done 3, and then I have, because I'm trying to use up what's in my freezer, added about 1 stalk worth of celery. So pop that in. I have added two onions as well, just to let you know, but I'm going to put this on top because I'm using my measuring cup for something else. Don't do it if you are frying anything. This is just so that the stuff doesn't fling out during chopping. So 3 seconds, speed 9. All right, so let's have a look. Now, if you aren't happy with the results, you can always go back and repeat that step again. I am very happy with this, just to show you. So I just want to make sure I'm scraping everything down, and then we can go to the next part of the recipe, which is adding in your olive oil. So it does say scrape that all down. Just pop that in. And then we're going to weigh out, it says 20 grams of olive oil. So pour that in. And then without the measuring cup, you're going to cook this for 5 minutes on 100 degrees Celsius and speed number 2. Now the reason for this is that you want to make sure that the evaporation is happening. This will caramelize your onions, or at least get rid of that water content. And remember, I did cheat and add in the extra celery as well because I wanted to make use of that out of my freezer. So 5 minutes cook time. If you want to, you can cook it down further. If you are adding extra ingredients, you could add carrots, you could add your celeries like a mirepoix, your initial start of any recipe in a French recipe, but that's literally the start of it. Then what I'm going to do is just walk you through the next part so that it will go a little bit quicker when it comes to that. So there are a couple of ingredients that are lined up here. There is passata, optional of using your Worcestershire sauce. You don't have to, but it is optional. And then some of the tomato paste, and then your flavorings. So once this is cooked down, you're going to be adding in your tomato and your flavorings of basil, oregano, cinnamon. I know it sounds weird, but I promise you it's really good. And then the optional one is, if you love a little bit of heat with yours, you can add in some chili flakes. But that is totally up to you, and some pepper as well. I've just noticed, you will notice too, the steam that's coming off of there, it smells really good. But that is the reason for you leaving your measuring cup off, so more of the steam can escape. All right, the other ingredients I'll just run through. It does ask for meat stock paste, but I just have vegetables, so I'm going to be using that today. And I know this is not in the recipe, but I will put a teaspoon worth of sugar. Whenever I utilize anything that is tomato based, I do get complaints if I don't add in the sugar. My husband loves something that's not too tart or tangy, And I do find adding the sugar just helps bring that down slightly, so you can adjust it according to your taste. Usually a teaspoon or a tablespoon would be good. It just helps with that flavor of the tomato. And then, I know this sounds really strange, but in this recipe, you will be steaming your mincemeat. I know that sounds bizarre, but I promise you it works. It's such a good recipe to have as a backup. Like I say, make this ahead of time. On a Sunday, if you're really busy during the week, put a batch of this on. You can absolutely do that. There is another option where you can produce 2 kilograms worth of this recipe, so a kilo worth of mince and a kilo worth of the sauce, which you will be utilizing. So if you're interested in that recipe, please let me know and I will be happy to guide you through to that. It's not a Cookidoo recipe, it's actually one that my boss has shared with us, and such a great little addition to the kitchen because, hey, I don't know about you, but savory mince is popular in my house because it can go in some sweet potatoes or roasted potatoes or jacket potatoes. You can have it with some pasta and even the good old-fashioned mince and rice like my mum used to make with veggies. It can be used on anything, and lasagna, of course. Come on, we all know that one. But if you love that recipe, just give me a shout and I'll help you with that. So we do have 1 more minute cook time on this. That is basically the ingredients, and what we will do once this is finished is add in that base. So this is the cheat section, I suppose, as I say about steamed mince. I know it sounds bizarre, but you'll cook it for half the time, which is 15 minutes, and then add extra time onto that after you've stirred it. And that is the important part of this recipe. You have to stir the mince, because otherwise the mince will become they'll clump up together. And also when you do the stirring, you expose those parts that were perhaps not exposed to the steam. So that is a very important step in the recipe, making sure that you open up that mince again after it's steamed for those 15 minutes. And then your sauce is ready to go, and you mix it up with the mince. So easy. All right, so let's do the next part. Now it's adding in your 700 grams of your passata. I just get this from Aldi. You can make your own if you wanted to, absolutely. Now the next ingredient says 50 grams of your tomato paste. I freeze my excess, so I usually will make sure that I just put that into my ice cubes and then freeze those. Now it does say 30 grams of water. This was what I was telling you about earlier. I actually just put that inside there, and if I can find my lid. I don't like wasting, so I like to make use of that. Put the water in. Next is your 20 grams of Worcestershire sauce. So pop that in if you're going to be using it. Next is your meat stock, or in my case veggie, and I love to do a heaped spoon. My family are not afraid of salt. And it's good quality salt, I promise. All right, teaspoon of dried oregano, heat that. 1 teaspoon of your dried basil, or basil as the Americans say. Then 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, so a really small amount. And then there's the option of the chili flakes, so that's 1/2 teaspoon I'll be putting in. That's what it says. And then it does say pinch of black pepper, but I'm trying to use up my white pepper so that I can have less things to move. All right, next is this. Here we go. Put your simmering basket in, and at this stage you'll weigh out 700 grams of your beef mince, and make sure that it's not just dumped in. You have to put it in pieces, so that's pretty easy. Pop that in, and then there we go. that is 15 minutes of cook time on Varoma, and then speed number 2. So then I'll just walk you through the rest of this. As I said, the next step is to stir your mince after the 15 minutes of cook time, and then you want to then do the next part, which is cooking it again for 15 minutes, and it must be on Varoma speed 2. And then you'll actually then mix the sauce and the mince together once that has finished. So that's the mince element. And then for those of you that don't know shepherd's pie, it's basically getting yourself one of these, a Pyrex dish, and then what you want to do is put your mince at the bottom, and then that mashed potato that I explained that I made, let me just pull that out. You will actually layer that on top of your mince layer, and then it's up to you what you would love to do. I know my grandmother used to put butter on top of that, and you can, if you would like to, sprinkle some cheese as well. Put that in an oven of 200 degrees. Remember, your mince is cooked, your potato is cooked, so all you want to do is just make sure that you are browning the top portion, and it's up to your oven, usually 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and if you wanted to, you could take the grill element and just put it up higher in your oven so that you can grill that and melt the butter, melt the cheese, and make it lovely and brown and crispy on the top. So that's shepherd's pie. I am going to do a little bit of a tweak, which is I will add frozen veggies into my one. So the mixture of the mince, I'm going to add in a cup of vegetables from my freezer, as I have some in there that I want to make use of before I move. And then what I will do is make mine a little bit longer. So I will bake mine for about 30 to 45 minutes. And then at the end, I'll flash grill it so that it will become brown on the top. So that's my little option. I just add that in as extra because I'm trying to make use of what I have in the freezer. You can do the same, adding in some extra veg if your family don't mind that. But this recipe is a winner. I hope you guys have enjoyed this session of learning how to make your mashed potatoes and your chunky bolognese so that you can make some shepherd's pie at home. Do take care, and I'll be back again. I'm Bee from Thermomix. Take care.